Welcome back to a game of Fantasy and Thrones. My name's Hannah. This is my May TBR. So, yes, I have short hair now. I have a vlog coming at some point that explains this decision. But anyway, in the month of May is my birthday month, and I wanted to do something a little bit different-ish. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I sometimes, very occasionally, play a game of TBR, which is basically my TBR game based entirely on snakes and ladders. But in the last few months I've been really enjoying mood reading, so we're just going to carry on with that theme, and plus I left it far too late to film the TBR video, the TBR game, so we'll just have to make do with what's happening today. So, in the month of May, Holly Hearts Books is hosting Medieval-a-thon, which is basically just a readathon with a medieval slant on things. In this iteration, you start off as a prisoner, and then for every book you read, you go up a class in society. So, when you start with no books read, you are a prisoner. I have my notes here. One book makes you a peasant, so you escape or you're set loose, or you get to start your life again from this jail. You are a peasant. 2 books read, you become a squire, so someone takes pity on you basically. 3 books read, you become a knight, and I like how it is a knight because it's not gender specific, so that's good. Lady knights, we're all for lady knights here. 4 books read, you become a noble. 5 books read, you become a prince or a princess. 6 books, you become a king or a queen, and then finally with 7 books read, you become the empress or the emperor. Pretty self-explanatory there. However, you do also have a job in this world, let's call it. They range from baker, seamstress, cleric, bard, blacksmith. I think there's a few more. But the 2 that I'm going to be focusing on are blacksmith and seamstress, because in my brain it worked. Don't ask me how this came up with that, but it works in my brain anyway. But that's not to say that I won't be mood reading for the rest of the month and fitting what I read into the prompts that are left for the other roles. So let's just dive right in. There are 5 levels, so 5 prompts to every job, role, whatever profession, whatever you want to call it. So we're just going to, I will read out the prompts for the blacksmith, then move on to the tailor or seamstress, and then just go from there. So level 1 is the apprentice. Read a book with silver, gold, bronze in the title or on the cover. So I have gone for Witches Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart. My camera will hate this cover, but you can see it's gold there, and obviously it has gold in the title. So this got hype a couple of months ago on release. This is the Fairy Loot exclusive edition. When was this released? Last year. It doesn't tell me when, but if you weren't aware, this follows 2 girls on opposite sides of the war. Araya Ade has spent her life in a cell. Her family was overthrown and magically gifted, but she was exiled from the island nation of Ikea. Every day brings her closest to freedom and vengeance. Jasmine Carriot However, grew up dressed in gold with stolen magic at her fingertips. The daughter of the self-crowned Diane, her existence is a threat to her mother's rule. So these two witches are sworn enemies, but they enter a deadly alliance to take down the woman who threatens both their worlds. But revenge is a bloody pursuit, and nothing is certain except the lengths these two girls will go to win the game. So that is my first prompt. Then we have a book you're scared to read, which gives you a toolmaker. And the book I'm scared to read is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I'm scared for a few different reasons. The first reason is I didn't like the last book I read for him, which was called Later. And that one is a little bit meh on the creep out factor, but this sounds terrifying, and I don't like to be scared, but I'm scared to read it because I'll be scared, and I want to read it because I want to be scared. Makes sense, right? But this one follows Dr. Lewis Creed, who seems to move into a new house in Chicago, in Maine. Well, they seem to move from Maine to Chicago. You can tell I haven't picked this one up other than to look at that cat looks so cute, if not slightly spooky at the same time. But what I know about this one is that there seems to be animals that come back to life, and a cat gets possessed, and all I cared about when I found that out was if the cat died or not. But we'll find out more. Oh, I just realised that isn't smoke. I don't know if my camera won't pick it up. That's another eye. Okay, that's slightly more spooky. Next one is Weaponsmith. So this prompt is fairly self-explanatory. Read a book with a weapon on the cover. Realmbreaker by Victoria Aveyard. I feel like I should get double points for this because our main character is a blacksmith. All I know about this one is that we follow a female blacksmith who is tasked with making an unbreakable sword or weapon. She does, but then doesn't want to give it to the guy who paid for it because he's evil. You know, pretty standard YA fantasy with very cool sprayed edges. I think there's anxiety rep in here as well, but I'm not sure. Armour Smith. Read a hardcover. Nice short one. I'm going to read Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I know this book is doing the rounds at the moment, and all I know is that it follows 16-year-old Olivia Pryor. She's missing her mother, her father, and her voice. And all she seems to, the only companions she has are ghouls and her mother's journal. Near the end of her time at Maryland School for Girls, Olivia receives a letter from an uncle she's never met, summoning her to the estate. Gallant, however, that letter was years late. Uncle's dead. The estate is empty, apart from her cousin Matthew and the servants. So she can stay, but she has to follow two rules. 1, don't go out after dusk. And 2, always stay on the right side of the crumbling wall. Gallant has its secrets, and Olivia is obviously going to find out what those secrets are. But it's interesting that she is a non-speaking protagonist. I believe she communicates through sign language, but I've seen really pretty cover. But I'm not sure, and I am intrigued to read more by Victoria Schwab. Yes, I know, I'm behind, but who cares? We all read it out at our own pace. No shade here. And then the final prompt for Blacksmith is to become the Master Blacksmith, which is to read a series finale. Dark Dawn by J. Christoph. Now, with this being the third and concluding part to the trilogy, I can't really talk too much about this one. The rest were either starts of series or standalones. This is a conclusion. I can't really talk too much about this book in particular, but this is the conclusion of the Nevernight Chronicles, which follows Mia Colbert, who at 6 years old, I believe, I think it's 6, she's very young when she sees her parents pretty much murdered or tortured in front of her, and she swears vengeance and is taken to the Red Church, which is a school for assassins. And I have to admit, I'm only reading this because I want to know who's telling the story, because there are footnotes, and I thought it might be Mr. Kindly telling them, but now I'm not so sure, and I want to know how the end of because God's Grave, the sequel, ended on such a cliffhanger that I really need to know what, how, why, and hopefully this will answer my questions. So, so that would get me the profession of blacksmith, and it would give me the princess role, which, now that I think about it, a princess blacksmith, that sounds pretty badass. But we're not done. I want to add another feather to my cap by becoming a master seamstress. Seamstress? Master tailor? I'm not sure of the wording, but we're going for that now. So, first book, read a book you are unsure about. I'm going to go for The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. It's an older book. When was this first published? In 2012, so I'm expecting it to be a product of its time. It's dystopian, which I have had some success with in the past. But the reason why I'm unsure of this in particular is because I read Law by the same author and didn't really love it, which was a shame because it was billed as Hunger Games meets Percy Jackson, and something about it just didn't feel right. I think it felt a bit young, but hopefully we have better luck with this one. This follows Ruby, who is a survivor of a mysterious disease that's killed most of America's kids. The survivors have emerged with something far worse than the virus, frightening abilities that they can't control. Ruby's parents sent her to a brutal state rehabilitation camp, which is run, and she was pressured by the government to do that. She's learned to suppress her new power there, but what if mastering the powers is a whole generation's only chance for survival? And I know that there is a movie about this now because I have an annoying movie sticker cover that I can't take off. Maybe it's on Netflix. We might be able to read this, and then I might watch the movie. That could be a cool vlog. But next prompt was Weaver. First book in a series, and I'm going to start Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This is the first in the Elderling world, and this is also the first of the Farseer trilogy. Now, all I know about this is that it follows Fitz, who is a bastard. He's the bastard son of Prince Chivalry, but when Prince Chivalry finds out that Fitz is on his way to the castle, the prince abdicates, leaving Fitz in between. He's not quite royalty, but he's also not quite peasantry, common folk. So seeing this, the king decides to train Fitz up as an assassin. But we also have, I think there are 2 types of magic in this. We have the wit and something else. One is the commoner magic, the other is the royalty magic. I think Fitz has both, so it'll be interesting to see how that works, and I have heard great things about the world as a whole, and I'm interested to dive right in, even though it's going to be a long slog because I believe there are like 4 or 5 series within the Elden Ring realm. So I best get cracking. And then prompt 3 is embroidery. So we get to play with foiling and embossing on this prompt. So I'm going to go for Year of the Reaper by Mekia Lucia. Now we do have some foiling on the spine, but we also have embossing and foiled embossing on the naked hardcover. Yes, this is Fairy Loot, and all I know about this one is that 3 years ago Lord Cassier disappeared in the midst of a war. Mission entrusted to him by the king. Since he's been away, a devastating plague has swept the land, leaving countless dead and the kingdom forever altered. Oh, this is an interesting premise when you think about what happened about 3 years ago. Well, give or take. So Cass has been in prison and survived a merciless illness, and all he wants to do is go home, but his castle has become a refuge for the royal court, and they've brought their enemies with them. An assassin tries to target those closest to the queen, so Cass is drawn in to search for the killer. He meets up with a brilliant young historian called Lena. They soon realise that who's in behind these attacks is far less important than the why, and they must look to the past, following a trail of a terrible secret, one that could threaten the kingdom's newfound peace and plunge it back into war. So, seems like somebody doesn't like somebody else. I don't know what most of these books are about. It's been either too long since I've read them, or they were sent by subscription boxes. So, level 4 was tailor shop owner, so we're going up in the world. We own property now. And that is the last book you bought / borrowed, and I'm going to go for An Arrow to the Moon by Emily XR Pan. This came in Fairy Loot, I believe. It is signed, yes, a Fairy Loot exclusive edition. And all I know about this one is that it seems to be a spellbinding reinterpretation of Romeo and Juliet, filled with romance, magic and Chinese mythology. And that cover is stunning. Simple but beautiful. So we follow Hunter Yi, who has perfect aim with a bow and arrow, but everything else veers off course. Haunted by family mistakes. Only thing keeping him from running away are his brother, a supernatural wind, and the bewitching girl at his new school. Luna Chang dreads the future graduation looms, and her parents' expectations are stifling. Her life is turned upside down by the strange boy in her class, the unearthly fireflies that follow her around, and an ominous crack that begins to spread across the town of Fairbridge. Hunter and Luna navigate the feud between their families and uncover hidden secrets. Everything about them falls apart, and all they can depend upon is love, but time is running out and fate will have its way. So, there's Romeo and Juliet, obviously, with the star-crossed lovers, but with Hunter Yi being an archer, there may be a Cupid link in here, so that's cool. And the last book for the prompts was Fashion Trendsetter, and that is the prettiest book on your shelf. Now, I do have some gorgeous covers, I'm not gonna lie. I have The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axio, that is a stunning book as well. River Enchanted is quite pretty. Daughter of the Moon Goddess. That book is pretty special, I would say, because it is a naked hardcover with a clear dust jacket. But the one I'm going for is The Betrayals by Bridget Collins. I just love how simple this is, because you've got the clock, and this looks like a Greek vase. I can't remember what they're called. And then on the back it is the same, but rather than the clock we have a spider. And then I believe there's an embossing on this. Yes, we have a clock, which makes it look like an old-timey book, and then this spider on the back. And to be honest, that's what this book just looks like, an old classic that you would find in a nice old library. So at Montfair, an exclusive academy tucked away in the mountains, best and brightest are trained for excellence in the grand jeu. An arcane and mysterious contest. Leo Martin was once a student there, but lost his passion following a violent tragedy. Now he returns in disgrace, exiled to his old place of learning, with his political career in tatters. Montfair has changed since he studied there. Now it allows a woman, Claire Dryden, to serve in the Grand Duke's highest office of Magister Ludi. When Leo first sees Claire, he senses an odd connection with her, though he's sure they've never met before. Bit of deja vu. I don't know what that was. Bond between them is strengthening, but Leo and Claire have built their lives on lies. And as the legendary Midsummer Game draws closer, secrets are whispering in the walls. So that will get me to two professions, Master Blacksmith and Seamstress. It will also get me, personally, to Empress. Now, I definitely read more than 10 books in a month, especially if this month is going by anything. So, what Holly has said is if you read more than the 7 books, you can start again. So, with those 10 books, I get myself as an Empress, and I also get a little knight buddy. And let's carry on, because I don't want just a knight buddy, I want a partner. I don't want to be lonely. But this is the Summoner by Karen Matheru. This is the first book, The Novice. This follows Fletcher, who's training as a blacksmith's apprentice. Oh, I need to get double. Can I get double points for all the blacksmiths in this book? Please. He's training as a blacksmith's apprentice when he discovers he has the rare ability to summon demons. One of the gifted few, Fletcher must go to Vulcan's Academy, the school that teaches the lost art of summoning. There he must learn how to control his powers, preparing to be tested in the end-of-year tournament, which will determine his role in the Empire's war against the Orcs. Sinister forces infect new friendships, as they always do, and rivalries grow. With no one but his demon Ignatius by his side, Fletcher must decide where his loyalties lie. The fate of the Empire is in his hands. So this was a random pick by my sister, because I don't have it written down, but one of the other professions, I think it's baker, needs a random book. I thought I'd pop it in there, although the rest of the books are going to be random. But yeah, so I have my set TBR. I'm not going to bother picking it up. And then what I'll do, if and when I finish those 10, I will probably just mood read, because I have the 2 professions that I want, and I'll focus on building up my friends and servants, and yeah. So, as always, chat to me down in the comments. Leave a book stack if you don't have a comment that you want to leave, but let me know if you're taking part in Medieval-a-thon. It's a month-long readathon. I will try and remember to pop the video from Holly explaining it in the description, but don't hold me to that. And let me know what you would pick for these prompts. Let me know what you're hoping to read in May, and I'll see you in the next one. So as always, you can give this video a like if you like it, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see this. We can talk about these, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!